Hey everyone, I hope you guys are doing fine. I was just basically doing some stuff on the Linux machine, and what I just realized is that I have forgotten the password of the Ubuntu. And just to recover it, uh, I tried to do some research on quite a few forums, a lot of chat GPT, Perplexity, and all. And eventually I was able to figure it out. So I thought I should actually sort of create a video out of it so that I can share it with the people and yeah, they can, whenever they face the similar situation, they can just get rid of this password issue and fix it as soon as possible with the most convenience possible. So let me just share my screen. So there you go. So this is the Linux server, which is basically running in my EVNG. The whole point is that this EVNG itself is actually hosted on this VMware. Right, this is my VMware over here, and this whole VMware is actually running on my Windows PC. So now the point is that I was trying to do some stuff on this Linux server, and eventually I realized that I have forgotten the password. Now what I'm gonna do here is if I just get into it, I click on the console here. It says that there's a username with the username test, and you have a password. Just trying to type something. It won't let me in because I don't remember the password. Now the way to figure this out is what I'm gonna do is I'll just turn this off and I will get into the grub menu of this. So what I'm gonna do is I will just start this and I'll have to be real quick. I'll just try to get into the grub menu where I would modify uh the BIOS settings. So I'm gonna click on start, and the moment it starts, I'll go here and click on escape. I hope it works right now. Looks like it did not. Yeah, it did not. So let me just turn it off again. And by the way, the reason you see that it just logged me in is because uh, on the Ubuntu itself, if you go to the settings right now, it's lagging for some reason. Should refresh the screen. Okay, there you go. So if I go to the settings right now, and if I go to the user accounts here, you could see that its automatic login is on, which means that if you reboot the machine, it's going to log you in automatically. But that means that if you just come here and then you can do a lot of stuff over here, but eventually if you sort of move on the different tabs and you start doing something else, eventually this is going to get logged out and then you won't be able to get in unless and until you don't reboot the machine, which is not a good way, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just trying to get into the grub menu of this, right? So for that reason, I will just reboot this. I'll start this again, and I want to make sure that it takes me to the grub menu as soon as possible. I hope it works right now. No, let's just try it once more. So I'm starting and typing the escape key on my PC. There you go. So this is the grub menu over here. It says GNU Grub version is 2.02. Now what I'm gonna do here is I will keep the highlighted entry there, but there at the bottom of the screen it says that use the up and down keys to select which entry is highlighted. I'm gonna keep the Ubuntu there. I don't want to move the up and down. So next it says press enter to boot the selected OS, E to edit the commands for booting. So we're not booting, we're just trying to make some changes to the grub menu. So I'll just type E because it says if you want to edit some of the commands, just type E. So we're editing E, and then you're going to see these are the list of the commands that are basically utilized once the moment it starts booting. So I want to make sure that I sort of make the changes to these commands so that I get to a prompt where I can basically change the password uh, without having to put the current password because I don't know the current password. So what I'm going to do here is I'll get to the Linux line over here, and there you see this RO, which means read only. I'm going to change it and make sure that it becomes read write because we're going to make the changes to this menu. And the next thing is I want to do init equal to bin bash. So there you go. Once you have made the changes, you can just type Control X and this is going to boot again. So you're in the root menu now. What I'm going to do here is I will just type passwd. The user for which I'm basically trying to change the password is test. This is one of the sudo words on this particular machine, which actually has the root privileges to change each and everything in this machine. So I'm going to change the password for this. And, if you want to change the password in the Linux, after you have booted the machine, and then just because you booted it, it's set on the auto login, you won't be able to change the password unless and until you don't have the current password. Now, the method that we have just discussed is the only way where you can change the password without having to put the current password. So it's not asking me for the current password, just says me that just type the next password, the new password. So I'll just put the new password as whichever the thing I want to keep it for testing. I'll keep it something 1234 at 1234. There you go. So everything has been successfully done. Now to make sure that this is written, I'm going to type this sync, which means that I want to make sure that this basically stays as part of my uh, configuration. It doesn't get away the moment I boot this machine, because any change that you're actually going to make with the grub menu isn't going to stay. Uh, those changes will not be persistent across multiple boots. So that's the reason I'm going to put here sync, because I just changed the password in the configuration. I want to make sure that this password actually stays, uh, or you can say it persists across multiple boots. So I have just saved the configuration using the sync command. Now what I'm going to do is I'll just stop this machine over here and then start again. There you go. So again, the reason why you see it just logs me in is because of the settings that we have for this particular user already in the settings. I can just show you that real quick. If I go to the settings and go to the user accounts, it says that automatic login is set on for this particular user. Now let's just test if this actually works for us or not. So I'm going to log out myself, right? And then type in with the new password that I just set for it. So 2 that 1234 was what I kept. There you go. So this is the whole idea of what you basically can do. So let me just go to my notepad and I will just try to summarize what we just did. So the first thing is we had forgotten the password for sure. Now what we did was we booted the machine and you have to type the escape key to get into the uh, grub menu. This is the first step. Now the next step is you can type E to edit the commands and then find the line which starts with the Linux, right? And find RO and change it to RW. And at the end of the same line, at the end of the same line, you need to type init equal to bin bash. And finally, you just type ctrl plus x. This would just reboot your machine. And then the final step is that you want to change the password after you basically reboot the machine. You're just uh, seeing yourself in the root directory. So what you're going to do is, if you are dealing with the forgotten the password for the user test or the username test, so finally you can type pass d and then you're talking about the username which is test and then it's going to ask you for the password. You can type the password over here and you need to repeat it because you have to type it twice. And for sure, you won't need the current password, which you have actually forgotten. So finally, the last step would be that you just have to sync to save the password in the Linux. This would make sure that the changes are persistent across boots. All right, so that's it. I'm going to put this in the comments or maybe in the description later on. Thank you so much. Please take care. Bye.